Welcome to True and Unpolished. Through this podcast, our intention is to uplift, amuse, and inspire you to create more of a life you'll love. Let's get authentic, everybody. So here's the deal. Mary and I decided last week that we were going to focus and look for true and unpolished moments in our own life with the theme, you do you. Okay, you do you. And our purpose behind this was recognizing that everybody's judging everybody all over the place. And we wanted to really highlight that it's important that we all do our own thing and not judge each other. So Mary's going to start us off. You're going to hear in a minute, and she's going to tell a story. And I love the way Mary's mind works. I think it has to do with her being a visual artist, but she thinks about things in such a beautiful and unique way. And in the beginning, I wasn't following her. I thought, but it totally made sense. So hang in there. If you're like me and you are not a visual artist, I promise it'll make sense. So take a listen. Hi, Mary.
Hello.
It's nice to see you.
You too.
See, we can see each other. Y'all can't see us, but just imagine, I'll just give you a picture. We both look stunning.
Do you remember? Amazing.
That's right. Do you remember glamour shots, everybody? Like, think of that. We look like glamour shots.
I'm not sure I want them to know that about me.
No, we really don't. We look the opposite. Well, all right. We're going to leave that. We're going to put it down. But we're glad you're here. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We often forget to thank you, but it is so exciting when I get to see that there is an audience in every state in the United States and some outside. So it is very exciting. We love to do this, and we're so grateful to you for coming on this journey with us and listening and caring about what we have to say. So thanks. So Mayor, you want to start us off with a true and or unpolished moment?
Well, as a matter of fact, I do want to start us off with a truth. This might throw you off a little bit, though.
Oh,
I didn't warn you about it or say anything about it. But one of the things that I think about periodically is this time period in art. And it consisted of two opposing forms of art. One was Impressionism, which really focused on more of a realistic interpretation of what the artist would see. And Monet is a good example of that.
Okay.
The other period, the opposite period, is called Cubism. And that period was strongly influenced by Picasso and other artists who worked more abstractly. And so they rejected the idea that art should copy nature, or that artists should adopt traditional techniques of perspective, modeling, and that sort of thing.
Oh, cool.
So you've got these opposing periods, opposing viewpoints in art. And what happens is whenever you go, what happens in art, and I think art mirrors life, right?
Sure.
So what happens is that you go so far in one direction that it ends up visually looking like the other.
Whoa. What?
So I need it to be so, it's called Impressionism. And so those pictures are more romantic in nature, but they're also more realistic in nature, but they become that need for it to kind of be an impression of real nature, real subject matter. Then the idea sort of gets romanticized and then it becomes abstracted. I was thinking about that because my truth is, this is random. And I think about that period a lot. It's just something that I studied when I was in undergraduate studying art. And I always was fascinated with that concept. And I think it mirrors a lot, that idea mirrors a lot what's happening in our political world right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
What my truth is that I don't like to go to art museums.
An artist who doesn't like to go to art museums. I love it.
But you would have assumed that I love them, right?
Right.
I think it's like, have you ever met an athlete that doesn't like to watch games, sporting events? They want to play. They want to participate in the event.
Right. Because because an athlete, when they're in the zone, an artist, when they are creating, for me, when I am giving a talk, I'm in a place, I am inspired, enthused, which comes from, I think it's the Greek entheos, which means in God. So really what we're looking for, I think always, is that experience of oneness with all that is, oneness with the universe. And so it would make sense that, looking at the art isn't going to be the same thing.
Well, when you were saying that about the oneness, I was thinking, before we got on this recording, we were talking, and our subject was hashtag for today, hashtag you do you.
Yes.
And what we both agreed on was that was a horrible
concept,
right? It's something you say when you're having a conversation. It's not generally the topic of conversation. So we're basically having to work backwards to get to this subject. But then you're talking about the oneness.
Right.
I really think of you do you as me being a separate entity, non-attached from the one.
Right. But you do you.
Wholeness.
I think when you do you, that's when you experience the oneness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like this concept.
Yeah, it's like the art thing. Yeah.
Right. So it's we have these great ideas, these grand ideas, whether it's our political viewpoint or a new creative inspiration or whatever. And what happens is we go to an extreme and then we just circle back around.
And the more we embrace and embody our individuality, the closer we get to the oneness. That is deep, everybody. Tweet.
How does that go along with your Unpolished?
Oh, yeah.
Is there any correlation there with your moment?
Yeah. So you do you. I agree. Like, we both agreed that theme was very hard. And my true and unpolished moment related to you do you is about me reaching out to estranged family members. Do you call them estranged if it's not a spouse? I don't know.
I think that they would be lost family members.
All right.
That you've lost. I mean, as far as you know, there's not an intentional, we know where you are, but we're not going to talk to you. That would be estranged.
Okay. So let me explain. You guys know that my father was not well. He was Green Beret at Vietnam, and we believe exposure to Agent Orange and all of that. But increasingly, he was mentally unwell. And until the age of 12, I had contact with all of his family. He's one of 8. So there was 3 boys and 5 girls and lots of cousins, and they would come to visit. and mom and dad would go visit there. I never visited there. And they're in Buffalo, New York. So we were far apart, but we, birthday cards and phone calls and visits. And then suddenly it was gone. And I asked my mom what had happened, like what's going on. And she said that dad had decided not to talk to them anymore. And I
Did he
didn't,
say why, or did she tell you why?
no, absolutely not. But what I gathered, and it's difficult because because in my family, the rule is we don't talk about things, especially unpleasant things, we don't
Mm-hmm.
discuss them. And so I was real sneaky. Like I would listen in to try to figure out what the heck was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And around this same time, I was being sneaky because there was a trunk that was locked in a room that,
Like at your house?
yes, there was
Okay.
this locked army trunk.
Mm-hmm.
And I had always been on a search for the key to this trunk because I wanted to know what was in there.
Well, yeah.
I mean, hello, that's
Who
a huge
wouldn't want to know
mystery.
what was in there?
Right.
But
So,
you didn't have like a fear, because I don't know, would I have a fear about that for a little?
I do not remember being afraid.
Or it was just curiosity?
Yeah, I know there's something in there that they're trying to keep from me. That's what it
Oh,
was.
they're trying to keep this from me.
That's right. And I'm going to figure it out.
Okay. Yeah.
So I did find the key around the same time. And in this trunk were lots of things, but the thing that stood out was that there were two birth certificates that listed
Mm.
my father as the father, and the names I didn't know. I didn't know who the woman was, the mother was. It was the same mother. And I
Mm.
didn't know who
So
they listed as the
you had never heard anything about these children?
never, never. I had never heard anything about it. So then I approached my mom with this information because you do not
Where'd you
approach.
find the key?
I don't remember. I think what it was is that I watched my mom go in there once.
Oh, so
And
you were
yeah,
eavesdropping on that too.
yeah, like I had a sense that she was going in. So I was looking to see, and then I saw where she put the key. But I might be totally making that up, but that's what I think
That's,
happened.
yeah.
Um, and so I approached my mom with it, and she said that yes, my dad had two daughters from a previous marriage, and that it upsets him. And so we don't talk about it.
Mm.
And I said, okay. And then at some point, I heard a conversation. And from this conversation, I gleaned that the reason why he didn't talk to his family anymore is that he was becoming paranoid, and he believed that they were like out to get him, and that they were talking
Mm-hmm.
to his ex-wife and these daughters of his. And I very much was, my dad's little girl at this point. So probably it was before 12. It was probably around 10 or 11 because it was before the switch. And
Right.
so then asked him about it because of what I heard. And
Mm-hmm.
he told me that there was a story where that the woman had said because he was a Green Beret and a trained killer, that's how he put it, that she did not want him to have custody and he can only have supervised visits. And my dad said he went on a supervised visit, and um, the
Mm.
littlest girl said, I know who you are. Or something like, I know who you really are. You're our dad. And the older daughter said, we have a dad. And
Mm.
my dad said that he decided he was not going to ever see them again. And he didn't want to confuse them. They already believed that someone else was their father, whatever.
That's so sad.
It is. And I don't know. that's what he relayed to me.
Right.
I don't know, because there's definitely some acrimonious stuff going on. They still live in the same town that all of my family lives in.
Mm.
So like I imagine that they would run into each other at the grocery store. But when my dad told me that story, I was outraged on his behalf. So I
Sure.
decided I never wanted to meet these sisters. I never wanted to have anything to do with them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my story for a long time. I don't care to meet these people. They were not good to my father, whatever. Well, now for some reason, I felt really drawn to try to find, my aunts,
Mm-hmm.
because both of my uncles had passed and I knew that. So I wanted to find them. And so I started to do some research. I looked up my grandma's obituary because we weren't there. Um, they did list my dad and my mom, as they do with children, and they counted me among the 19 grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
And I got all their names. And this is what's so sad.
When was this?
Where or when?
When?
2-3 days ago.
Oh, okay. So you just did this.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I mean, this is sad. I literally had to look up their names. I only remembered 3 of their names and only remembered 1 of the last names.
Well, you were only like 10 or 12 when this.
Right, when it all went down. Right. But I will say too that at this time, I had a cousin who was going through Marine Corps boot camp at Paris Island.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I was maybe 8, 9, 10.
In South Carolina.
Yes. And so he would come to our house on leave. Every time he got leave, he'd come to our house rather than fly up to Buffalo, because he'd get, 3 days or whatever. So I became, to me, I loved this cousin. He was like a big brother, and my big brother had moved across the country. So I was so stoked about this guy. And so I, of course, knew his name. So I started to look on Facebook and I found them. And it was really vulnerable because I realized I don't know what went down. I don't know if my dad did something and they decided not to have contact. I don't know. I don't know what happened. And so it was a very unpolished thing of me because I didn't plan it at all. And I just sent
So, but what did you do?
Okay, so I did a friend request and I sent a message, and the message said, "Hi, this is your niece, Lydia, Bob's daughter." That's what I said. And only one accepted my friend request and acknowledged, receipt of the message. But she said, "I've got a lot going on right now, but we'll maybe catch up another time." So then I found my cousin and I sent my cousin.
The Paris Island cousin?
Yeah, the one that out of everybody I knew most.
Right.
And after a couple of days, after my one aunt responded, then he responded. And all he did was say, he just accepted my friend request and said, "Hey, good to hear from you." Like that was it. And so I am feeling very vulnerable and
I guess so.
exposed,
Yeah.
because I don't know what if they even want to hear from me. I don't know. So, it's still, to be determined what this is going to be. But what I also did, guys, was join ancestry.com. And today, the DNA kit arrived. And part of ancestry.com is anybody so you send in the DNA, and anybody that you are related to gets pinged like you have a new relative on ancestry.com. And this came about because a childhood friend of mine, Monday maybe, she had a picture of her and her dad on her Facebook feed. And I said, "Oh, I remember him." And she was like, "No, it's not him. I just realized, I just found out that my father wasn't my father. I have a different father." And I was like,
What?
"What?" I know. Her story is cuckoo birds crazy. And she was like, "I will tell you." So then she private messaged me, and did an audio and told me the whole story. And it is incredible. Like, she found out she's like Italian, and she has a sister that looks just like her, and her dad's
But
so
she never knew about?
no, she always thought that this one man, and as I did, I mean, I grew up going over and playing at her house, and
Mm-hmm.
apparently he is not her father at all. So anyway, it was her story that made me think, you know what, I should find these sisters. I should,
Yeah.
if they're out there, I mean, if they want to be found, they would have done this. They would have done an ancestry DNA, whatever, because it's pretty well known. So I'm gonna, send them my saliva
Yeah.
and see what hits I get. I also have other cousins that I don't know their names. I can't remember their names. So, I mean, it was a big family. They were a big Catholic family.
Well, that could be a really big adventure, huh?
It is. I mean, it is exciting. It does feel like an adventure. I have not I told my mom briefly that I had reached out to um, aunts, but they don't know about the DNA kit. They, like, my family doesn't, I haven't told them yet, not because I'm keeping it from them, but because,
You just have done it. So you were inspired and you did it
I did
and
it. Right, right.
haven't had a chance.
And probably somewhere in me, I knew that if I told anybody, that I might get feedback that would cause me not to do it. And so I didn't tell
Mhm.
anybody. I didn't tell before I did it. I just did it.
Yeah.
So it was very true. It was a true moment where I wanted truly to connect with my family. And it was very unpolished because it was not planned and I was not eloquent in any way. Like, I didn't plan out what to say. And then I thought, after I sent them, I'm like, well, what do I say if they're like, let's have a phone call? Like, I don't even know what to talk about.
Yeah. I think that's the kind of thing you have to do when the inspiration strikes. And like,
Yeah.
otherwise, there's so many ways that we can talk ourselves out of that sort of thing. And
Yeah.
I think that isn't that what inspiration is for? I mean,
Yeah.
it would come back again if that was the path.
Yeah.
You would surely be inspired again. But I wonder how many times we lose an opportunity
Yeah.
because we don't follow it, or we sit with it too long and think it over too long.
Right.
I think that happens to me a lot,
Yeah.
overthinking something, not going with my gut.
We have some amazing, awesome guests coming, lots of guests. That I'm really excited about. And Mary's really excited about. So, as much as you love hearing just our voices, you will very soon be hearing other voices as well.
Hold on, we didn't talk about creating more.
Oh, well, okay, go. Oh, yes, create more.
Yeah. So,
Discuss.
how are you creating more in regards to you?
I am practicing speaking my mind. I, for a very long time, was quiet, and I think I needed to be quiet because I used to speak my mind way too much, like way, 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 way too much. And so I overcorrect. Well, it's not an overcorrection because I needed to experience the other side, which is when I,
Yeah.
needed to be quiet and not
Yeah.
speak my mind. And now I believe it's the moment where I integrate uh, the silence of my presence with my voice and speaking my mind. You have to, and if you look, if I look at all areas of my life, that's what happened. In order for me to integrate and really become the truth of who I am, I had, it's just a lot of knob adjustment, it's
Yeah.
making sure the knob is turned up, not too high, not too low. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm trying to do now. It was too high for a very long time. Then it was too low. And now I'm working on, medium
That's a
volume.
good metaphor.
Yeah.
Well, I can really, I think, relate in some ways, but this is probably the third time in my life where my beliefs and viewpoints have shifted, and I don't know if I don't know. It's like the pendulum's kind of gone all over the place. So I don't know if it's come back to center quite yet, but I do know that this past year there's been a huge shift for me
Yeah.
in how I see things. And so I think for me, doing things that ground me, like the biggest thing probably is exercise. And, I have this dog, Roxy, who is I don't know if she's the worst dog or the best dog.
I
A
know.
little of both. But what she does is she holds me accountable. So she wants to go for a walk. She doesn't even like to go outside, like a regular dog would, just go in the backyard or get whatever. She wants to go like on a walk.
Yeah.
To be able to do her do her.
Oh, yeah, that's
So,
right. Roxy, you do you, Roxy. You do you.
But yeah, just my friend, a neighbor, for a long time would say, I always am like, there's Mary out walking her dog, walking Roxy. There she is. And I wish that, I could just do that I could just get up and go do that. And I think the reason that I can do that is because the alternative of not doing it is too much suffering.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm motivated to get up and do it because I want to suffer less.
Yes. Okay. So
And then, but I just wanted to say, I've been gardening, so that is also grounding. So actually your hands in the earth and weeding the garden and the garden of my mind.
Yes.
I'm still doing that.
Yes. My friend Dan tells me all the time, just go garden. Well, everybody, this is, if you need one, this is your permission slip to do you do you. And I think the other part of you do you is let everybody else do them. And
oh, yes,
let's not judge each other. Let's all do us without judgment of other people. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
All right. You have been listening to True and Unpolished, the podcast. Let's see what happens next.